Cole.
You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 277 of the Rotten Views podcast. Hopefully, you guys had a great Christmas. Hopefully, you guys have a good New Year's and all that other fun stuff in between. Hopefully, you had a fun time with family and loved ones. I know this episode's coming out a couple weeks after Christmas, and I think just before New Year's, so hopefully, you guys do have a happy New Year's. Actually, I stand corrected. This one comes out just after New Year's. I'm pre-recording a bunch of things, so I'm getting my dates a little bit mixed up, but that's okay. It happens every now and then, and hopefully in this new year, we'll get that stuff all sorted out a little bit better. And we got a bunch of new plans for the podcast coming this year, and hopefully you guys will stick around for those. But enough of all that stuff. I just want to say thank you to everyone who was here last year, from the returning listeners from previous years to the new listeners that just showed up last year as well. We are going to have a great 2026. I know this because I have a lot of plans for the podcast and for everything else. But we'll get into that in just a second. If you're a new listener, thank you for checking out this episode. Thank you for starting out the new year. Listen to the Rotten Views podcast. And hopefully you'll check out the back catalog. You'll subscribe and do all the other fun stuff. You know, follow the pages and whatnot, and hopefully you'll stick around for a little bit longer. But seeing that we're talking about that stuff, let's just jump right into the housekeeping section like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
No, think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
Oh, towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
As always, depending on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, feel free to leave a review or rating, whatever it might be. If you're on Apple's or iTunes, leave a review. Leave some comments down below if you're on a podcast app that leaves comments. If you're on Spotify, feel free to leave a star review. If you want to leave a 5-star, I appreciate it. If you want to leave something lower, that's fine too. If you want to do a 1-star, that's okay. That's fine. Maybe I'll find you in GTA and hit you with a snowball if they're still in the game at this point in time. I think they're still in the game at this point in time. I think the Christmas update still runs for like a week. But I'm not sure. But if you want to leave a 1-star, it's fine. It's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But the one thing that you guys can do the most that helps out the podcast, just hit that share button. Share it with your friends. Share it on your Facebook, your X, your Twitter, whatever it might be. Tumblr, if that's a thing anymore. Is that even a thing anymore? MySpace. Share it on your MySpace account. That'd be pretty cool. I think that's still around, actually, to be honest with you. But I don't check it, so I don't really know. But yeah, everything, subscribing to the platforms is great, but hitting that share button, just, sharing with your friends and family and everything else does help the podcast grow even that much more. So I appreciate if you guys do. And as always, if you want to keep in touch with me, make sure to you can find me on all social media accounts at Typhonstein. All the links are down in the description below, but the main thing you can find me on is Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, X. And of course, the one thing I want to promote the most, make sure to check out the YouTube channel where I drop old episodes of the podcast every single Monday. Wednesday is new gaming videos as well. We usually drop daily shorts, daily community posts as well. And with this new year, I'm getting a streaming schedule back in place. So we're going to be streaming some more artwork and some more video game content as well. So definitely go check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where we're getting closer and closer to that 1,000 sub mark. So I appreciate everyone who checks out all the content over there as well. Make sure to also check out the Rotten Views podcast Instagram page as well. The link is down in the description below. I post about the weekly episodes of the podcast. I also post the On This Day in Horror write-up that I do featuring a different movie every single day. You can also find that over on the YouTube channel or the community tab as well, depending on whichever platform you want to look at that on. It's also on the Facebook pages and everything else. Maybe you're looking for a little bit more content. Maybe you can check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page that we also run. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, as well as YouTube, where you can find various shorts. And we talk about some wrestling content. In the springtime, we're going to have some more live content, so definitely go check that out. We're ramping a bunch of things up on there as well. And the last thing I'm going to throw at you guys, if you want to help support me, support the podcast, check out the TeePublic link down below where we got some merchandise that you can buy. I think there's 4 different shirts right now. We got a couple Peanuts inspired ones. We have a John Candy one, as well as the basic podcast logo one on tie-dye now as well. So definitely go check that out. Pretty cool color selection, not gonna lie. You can buy t-shirts, you can buy long sleeve sweaters, and even some stickers. So definitely go check that out as well. And we're going to have a bunch of new designs dropping later at some point in time. I'm just doing all the fine work details. And actually, I've been using this last couple weeks to get a bunch of artwork done. Because if you guys didn't know, I do a series for my daughter. It's called Lunchbox Surprise. Each and every single day, she gets a different drawing stashed away in her lunchbox. If she's going to, daycare, if she's going to camp, if she's going to school, whatever it might be, wherever she has to go, I stash a different drawing. And the last week or so, I've been prepping for when she goes back to school because it's going to be all Shrek themed, which is a little bit interesting because, 3D characters. So I'm doing my best to try and emulate that. So hopefully you guys will check that out. We got a bunch of different series though. Did Disney characters for 2 weeks. Did Lilo and Stitch, did a bunch of different Pokemon characters, dragons, How to Train Dragons, like I said, Shrek, doing some anime characters, did a week full of One Piece characters. So I got a bunch of different drawings that you can definitely check out on the YouTube channel as well, all in the shorts tabs or on the Instagram page as well. I'll leave that up to you, but enough about that. You guys are here to listen to me talk about a movie from 1990. We're talking about today's feature is The Invisible Maniac. I will say this movie is a first time watch for me. I know nothing about it. I haven't even looked at the trailer, to be honest with you. I found it randomly on Amazon Prime. It's from 1990. It's an hour and 26 minute runtime. It's a horror sci-fi movie, which features a 4.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4 out of 5 on Amazon.ca. 79% of Google users have enjoyed this film. It was distributed by Republic Pictures, and it came out July 13th, 1990. The production company is Smoking Gun Productions. I have never even heard of that before. The description for this one from IMDb. An invisible scientist escapes from an asylum and teaches high school physics to nubile teens. This one is directed by Adam Rifkin, who's also one of the writers. Adam's also known for... He was the writer for 2017's The Last Movie Star. He was the writer for 2007's Look. As well, he's the writer for one of my favorites as a kid. I loved this movie growing up as a kid, and there is rumors apparently of a second one coming. He was the writer for 1998's Small Soldiers. He was also the writer for the segment Wadzilla in 2011's Chillerama. That one's been on my watch list for a while. I just never get around the time to watch it, and it's something I want to watch because it's like 4 different segments, and well, I'm not going to spoil what Wadzilla is, so if you guys want to look it up, feel free to do so. This movie also features 2 other writers along with Adam Rifkin. The first one we're going to talk about is Tony Marks. He was the producer for 2003's Getting Hall. He was also the producer for 1991's Bikini Island. He was also assistant director for the classic Detroit Rock City from 1999. And he also played the character Nick Decker in 1998's Welcome to Hollywood. The other director, or actually the other writer I should say, attached to this one is Matt Devlin, who was the producer for 1989's Tabloid. He was the cashier in 2004's 1.0. He was the producer for 1991's Underground, as well as the producer for 1986 Ozone, Attack of the Redneck Mutants, which that one is now being added to my watch list as well, because I have never heard of that movie before, but I'm very curious, because you know me, if you've been listening to me talk about movies for a while, you know I like bad movies, and I got a feeling that might be a bad movie. It could be a great movie for all I know, but I got a feeling it might be a bad one. Alright, we're at that section now where we start talking about a couple of the top billed actors or actresses for the movie. The first one we're going to talk about is Noelle Peters, who doesn't even have a picture on IMDb, to be honest with you, but they are the lead, or I'm assuming the lead. Like I said, never watched this movie before, but they're playing Kevin Dornwinkle in, of course, this movie, The Invisible Maniac, and they're also labeled as actor in 1997's TV movie Cinderella, and they apparently have done nothing else since then. Not really looking too good, but the next one we're going to talk about is a character known as Vicky. So Vicky, the actress playing Vicky, is just known as Savannah. Nothing else. No last name at all. Anyways, she played Vicky in this movie, 1990. She also played Cinderella, but it's not with a C, it's with an S, in 1992. She was also Mal's gal in 1991's Ladies Game, as well as Stephanie Banks in 1991's The Vision. She apparently has 80 credits to acting. A bunch of which I'm assuming is porn, because in 1993 she was in the video for The Hustlers, as well as 1993 Superstars of Sex, and the next one is 1993 as well, and Naughty But Nice. I'm wondering if that's a Christmas movie, but you see butt is spelled with two T's like the ass, so I'm assuming it's probably porn related. If you want to look that up, go ahead. If you're young, please don't, and yeah, we're going to leave it at that, and we're just going to go on to the next section in the podcast, to be honest with you right now. Surprisingly enough, this movie does feature a tagline. The tagline is read as an outrageous lesson in physics and physiques. It's a comedy, horror, sci-fi movie as well, just so we're aware. I'm going to leave away the goof and trivia section right now, just because I don't know anything about this movie, and I don't really want to spoil anything. I want to go in actually blind, which I probably should have said this earlier on. If you're new to the podcast, I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interest me and discussing them all. So it's going to be a spoiler-heavy episode, but then again, this movie from 1990, like 2 years after I was born. So it's on you if you get spoiled. I can't really say much about it. So, but with that being said, we're going to jump into the movie here in a few seconds. So hopefully you guys are comfy. Hopefully you're at home. Hopefully you're if you are at home, got some snacks, maybe some leftovers. Some leftover turkey is always pretty good. But now that I'm thinking about it, this is probably coming out like 2 weeks after or a week and a half after Christmas, so you probably don't have any leftovers actually, unless you had like a later Christmas. Maybe your family couldn't get around for Christmas or Boxing Day. Whatever it might be. Snacks, good. Get comfy, relax. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day, and like I know most of you guys and gals do, you're listening in the car. Hopefully the weather's nice. Hopefully you get to where you're going nice and safely, and nothing bad happens, of course. Winter can be a little bit of a pain in the ass for everyone, especially if you're Canadian like me, and the weather sucks sometimes, so it is what it is, but hopefully you get to wherever you're going, and hopefully you have some good time with family and friends, and enjoy the new year to start to it. With that being said, let's get started on the movie at hand.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight...
You stink pervert! How do you expect to become a scientist if this is how you spend your time?
Now I would like you to meet your new physics teacher, Dr. Kevin Smith.
You see, I need an A in physics this summer in order to graduate, and I'd be willing to do anything for an A.
I have single-handedly changed the course of science forever.
Punched you, Betty. Calm down.
Me, the greatest scientific mind of all time. Me, and they laughed at me, at me, at me.
You don't say that to a 90s chick. You say, hey, baby, you look like a smart, intelligent, artistic person. Now let me shake my face between your hooters and blow.
We are watching from 1990, The Invisible Maniac. So we got the movie starting out. It's got some fun music, and then we just see the Maniac pop up in a basic font, and then the font starts to split apart, and then Invisible appears in like a bloody font. Nothing super crazy, but I don't mind the style at least. And then we see this like medical doctor talking to Mrs. Dorwinkle, being like, I believe the patient's gonna go mentally crazy if he's pushed too much. And I'm assuming he's talking to her about her son, most likely. And it seems like the doctor was making a house call, because maybe that's a thing back in this point in time, time zone, time era, whenever this movie actually takes place. And then we see someone putting on a record, and she's dancing in a room as she's getting ready to take off her blouse and stuff. And we can tell that someone is watching from maybe the closet or the peephole in a doorway or something, because they're just watching her as she starts to like dance and undress in front of the mirror as the intro credits start to roll in. I will say the intro music that's playing during this whole striptease sequence in front of the mirror, actually I enjoy the song, and I enjoy the theme and the mood that's setting up for the picture. So we then see that it's not actually someone looking for people on the door. It's actually the kid next door using a telescope to sneak on his neighbor, who's apparently undressing in front of her window with the curtains wide open. And then the door starts to creak open, and it's the mom coming in being like, "What the hell are you doing, little brat?" She's like, nothing at all, Mom. Don't look for the telescope. So then Mom's like, "Oh, you're just looking for the telescope, eh?" And as soon as she looks through the telescope, we just get a big shot of naked butt just bending over. And she's like, "You stinking little pervert." So she bitch slaps her own son. And the mom's like, "How are you going to be a scientist? Is this how you spend your time? You're supposed to be in here studying so you can be rich and take care of me." And then she goes on a spell about how women are evil. "I don't want you looking at them. I don't want you touching them. I don't want you talking to them. I don't want you thinking about them. And you are grounded for a year. And I'm boarding up your windows. And you're never leaving your room for a year. And you're just going to stay in here. And you're going to study. And you're going to become a scientist because you are a failure right now." And then we just jump to 20 years later, like it's no big deal. And we jump to an international science symposium where Dr. Kevin Dornwinkle, the main character, Noel Peters, is going to talk about this big invention that he's created. And the guy introducing Kevin Dornwinkle, he's like, "I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of don't believe your breakthrough. But come on, stand up at the podium here and explain to us your big breakthrough." And then Kevin goes on about, how he can work with atomic particles and create a substance inside a substance, and goes on about all this scientific mumble-jumble that I'm not really going to try to explain because it doesn't make sense to me because I'm not a scientist. So he's like, I'm going to put it in layman's terms. I've devised a way for a man or a woman, no offense, to become completely invisible. And one of the scientists is like, "I came all the way from Belgium for such nonsense." He's like, nah, trust me, I'm totally confident in my work. Trust me. And Kevin's like, "I've become so invested in my serum, I'm going to, instead of injecting a pig with it, I'm going to inject myself with it, just to prove to you guys, I'm going to go invisible." So he injects himself, his heartbeat starts to race, we can hear it thumping, he drops the needle, he starts making weird faces, and then one of the other doctors is like, "Dr. Dorwinkle, I can see you," and everyone starts laughing at him. The whole room of scientists, colleagues, start laughing at him. And the one scientist is like, "You want to see someone go invisible? You want to see us all just leave? We'll go all invisible." So then Kevin gets pissed off at everyone laughing at him. So then he jumps over the table at one of the doctors, tackles him to the ground, and starts choking him out to the point where all the other colleagues just start leaving the room until another lady grabs on the back of him, tries to pull him off. And then he turns around and just starts choking her up against the wall. Then one of the colleagues is trying to hide behind his suitcase. So Dorwinkle grabs the suitcase from him and just starts beating the crap out of him with it and just starts laughing with the suitcase above his head as there's 4 scientists all dead in the room with him now. We're assuming dead. And then we see a news reporter talking about the case and how he did kill the 4 scientists. And apparently he's escaping the death penalty because the psychiatrist says that he's mentally unwell. So he's going to the asylum. And it's now 6 months later, and we see him in an asylum, and we actually see him jumping out of the window and running through the courtyard. And somehow he gets off the property because he's then running in his hospital gown through this grassy wooded area as some dogs are chasing after him. And apparently he picks up a stick and just throws it and tells the dog to go fetch, so the dog just leaves him alone, even though it's one of the guard dogs from the asylum. Then we see one of those classic newspaper spinning scenes on the screen, from Batman, the Adam West TV show, where it just shows up the newspaper being like, "Dorwinkle escapes." And then we see a bunch of kids in a class, and they're talking about how their teacher died, and wondering how he died, and how it's sad that he died, and well, I wonder who's going to take over class for us. So then we see the principal coming in, saying, "Hey, I'm sorry about your teacher. He died last week." One of the students is like, "Bubba," this is his name, actually, the student's name. He's like, how did he die? Apparently he choked on a sandwich. turkey sandwich or a barbecue sandwich, some sandwich. Not really important, but he choked on a sandwich nonetheless. So the teacher or the principal is there to introduce them to their new chemistry teacher, Dr. Kevin Smith. Not the one from Clerks, not Jay and Silent Bob. Don't worry, it's not that Kevin Smith. It's actually Kevin Dornwinkle, the guy who escaped from the asylum, who still looks like the same person. And I'm assuming if he was escaped and like they had it in the paper, they probably have a picture of him. So I'm not sure how they don't realize it's the same guy, but I won't judge him at all. I know earlier I said that he was there for chemistry. He's actually there to teach some physics. I'm not sure how I said chemistry, but it is what it is. I'm fixing it now. I'm not going back to edit it out, just so you guys are aware. So the new teacher, Kevin. Professor Kevin, whatever he's going by, Kevin Smith, yeah, that's what it is. He asked a student in the class, and of course it shows out to be Vicky. He's like, hey, do you know what the 4 principles of physics are? And she's like, dairy, meats, fruits, vegetables, and grains. It's like, no, you ditz. At least you're blonde, I guess. At least he's honest about it. He's like, those are the 4 food groups, but nice try at least. So Kevin tells them the 4 basic parts of physics, and the students are just like, oh wow, this teacher's kind of crazy, because when he's saying, he's very slow and he's very precise with his words, and he looks very demented and psychotic with the way his eyes look, like he's ready to kill somebody else probably. And then we see the janitor in the gym as he's like mopping the floors, but yet there's like 6 girls in cheerleader outfits doing the cheers, and we see Kevin, who's like peeking from the other side of a door, being very creepy, and he's checking out Vicky the whole entire time as she jumps around in her short little cheerleader outfit. Apparently there's a bunch of other kids from the class in the gym as well watching cheerleaders, one of them being Chet, and apparently his girl is Bunny, one of the cheerleaders. He's like, hey Bunny, every time I see you bouncing in those outfits, you know, you drive me crazy. It's like, wow, very clever, Chet. So Chet wants to do it right on the bleachers in front of everyone. He's like, no, nobody's going to see. He's like, you're on the front row of the bleachers. You're not even underneath the bleachers. You're just on the front row of the bleachers. And there's people literally in the background looking at you, but you don't expect anyone to see you guys getting it on. But Bunny doesn't want to do it because she is very sophisticated. Then out of nowhere, Chet and Bunny start talking about how dumb and moron Kevin Smith is, because they're like, anyone that passionate over physics definitely has to be a complete moron, a complete idiot. So then Chet has a plan to tease the teacher a little bit. He's like, I'll get all the guys together, you get all the girls together, and we'll start teasing the teacher. Just, make sure that he knows that he's welcome in class. And then Buddy's like, hey, I gotta go hit the showers. We gotta get the girls ready. Go hit the showers. And he's like, can I wash? He's like, no, you can't. And then they bump into the janitor. And apparently the janitor can't really talk properly because he's got some learning disability, or he's a mute. That's what Chet says at least. And they kind of bully him a bit. But, he's just trying to do his job. He's just trying to keep the school clean. And this whole time, Professor, Teacher, Kevin, whatever his term is, has been standing there with the door open with his head peeking in the gym, listening to everyone talk about him. But nobody notices him, right beside the bleachers almost. So then we see the girls all in the shower, and they're all naked, yelling and screaming, having a fun time, I guess. Anyways, then we see Kevin. There's this like vent system that peeks in from the gym into the showers, and he's just casually watching all the girls wash up, I guess. And then the principal's like, what you doing? He's like, nothing. I dropped some change. It just fell in my pocket. I was just looking for it. And she's like, yes, I drop change all the time. It kind of just falls out of my pocket and rolls. I understand. And then the principal's like, hey, April in your class, her parents called. They were a little bit worried about her grades. I have her phone number and address right here. Her parents were wondering if you would give her some like one-on-one tutoring, some extra hours and stuff. It's like, I don't think that should be a thing, huh? And then we see Kevin in his room somewhere in a science lab. I'm assuming at home, maybe still in school. I'm not really too sure where the setting is. But he's talking to himself, being like, I overheard the students talking about me. I don't think they like me. I'm trying so hard to make them like me. It's like, it's your first day. Of course they don't like you on the first day, and they probably won't like you on the next day either, because you're a little bit psychotic. But that's besides the point. So we see Kevin, it's been another day because we just cut to the class, be like, all right, class, we'll talk about black holes again tomorrow. And then we cut back to him in his little science lab room. It looks like maybe he's in a hotel room somewhere. He's like, I know, HS3, whatever that is. So then he gets the gloves and a syringe, and he's like, I got the serum now. So instead of injecting himself, he pulls out a giant rabbit cage that has a rabbit inside of it, be like, I'm going to use this as a test subject instead of stabbing myself, just in case to be on the safe side. So then Kevin injects the serum into the bunny. The bunny walks around the cage a little bit, and then I'm not sure it's just because the bunny's not going invisible. Yeah, it's still moving. It's a really dark scene to see, to be honest with you, but he's all pissed off because he can still see the bunny rabbit. So we see another day goes by, and we see him in class. He's writing on the chalkboard, and he's talking about how he's redone his whole serum, redid all the particles, redid all the math, and he has a new serum now. And he injects the bunny yet again, and then we see the bunny turn blue, and it actually disappears. He's like, I've done it. It's gone completely invisible. So then he's grabbing the bunny out of the cage, and it's invisible, of course. And he's like, keeps talking to himself, being like, I did it, and I did it my own damn way too. And then he starts laughing like a crazy maniac, because he's like, everyone laughed at me. They said I would never do it. They said I would never make a serum, and I did it. I proved them all wrong. So then he's all excited because, he's created the serum. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to take this other serum and just inject myself so I can be the first person who's completely invisible. And then we see him go completely invisible, and we just see around the room, we see stuff flying all over the place. And now I'm realizing, how am I going to talk about a movie where I can't even see the damn character other than items flying around? So this is going to be interesting. And then apparently 10 minutes go by, and the rabbit reappears again. And he's like, it's very interesting. The rabbit reappeared after 10 minutes. And then apparently Kevin's like, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to sleep. I need some sleep. I'm a little bit tired. I got a little bit of a headache now because I've been screaming so much. And then while he's sleeping, we just see a shot of a bunch of naked women. One in the shower. One's in the bathtub playing with the bubble baths. Like 5 of them are dressed but walking down the blue lit hallway of the school with an alarm system going off in the background. And apparently every girl in this dream was like, come on, come closer, Dr. Darnwinkle. We all want you. You're such a handsome scientist. And then he just wakes up, and he's reappeared again. We can see him now, but he's sweating in buckets. So he's like, so the serum has a very severe side effect on my dream state, but I'm sure it's pretty harmless. And he's like, I got this real urge, though, to re-inject myself because I'm a little bit addicted now. So as he's injecting himself in the arm again, he remembers that the principal gave him a number and address for a student that's worried about her grades. So next thing we know, we hear him breathing heavy, and he's apparently in her home as she's asleep, and he's slowly pulling down her gown because apparently she's a very heavy sleeper and doesn't feel her whole top being ripped off. It's not really being ripped off. Apparently she never even bothered to tie the part around her neck. And then we see Mr. Swift writing on the chalkboard, and Vicky comes up behind him and spooks him. He's like, I wasn't expecting anyone until the bell rang. She's like, yes, actually, I just wanted to fix your tie and talk to you a little bit about my grades and how I would do just anything for an A. And he's like, you just gotta study and do your homework, and I'll give you an A. And she starts to slowly, show some shoulder, and he's like, this is very unorthodox. Why are you filling me up so much, lady? And then the bell goes off, and all the kids start coming to class. He's like, good morning, class. How's everyone doing? Everyone take a seat, please. So then Gordon decides to burp in the teacher's face, and he's like, well, that's very disgusting. And, well, with that being said, let's do a pop quiz. And then one of the kids is like, you didn't tell us there's going to be a quiz at all, Teach? He's like, well, that's the joys of being a teacher, and it's a pop quiz. I can do whatever the hell I want, you little brats. So the kids decide to drop their school books at the same time to scare the teacher. And, of course, Kevin's having a little bit of flashbacks to when all the colleagues laughed at him. And then he starts screaming at the students. And, if the kids keep it up, he might end up killing a couple of them. And he's very pissed off. He's like, you know what? You guys are going to keep laughing and being assholes? That's automatic F for all you guys. You guys all fail. Good job. Keep it up. So then Chet in the class gets called down to the principal's office. And he's like, hey, what did I do this time? And she's like, well, I got your English scores in front of me. And, well, they're really bad. And I can't actually recommend you to college with these grades. He's like, well, what about my football scholarship? He's like, well, that's null and void. But, I would be willing to be able to give you some passing grades and some extra credit for some extra activity. He's like, well, so I wouldn't have to take another test or read some more books. And she's like, no, you just gotta watch me as I start to unbutton my top. And then he just buries his face in between her boobs. So then we see the girls all doing their little cheer, and they're cheering kill for whatever reason. But anyways, then they're like, we gotta go hit the shower, guys. So then they all just strip down in the locker room, and then they start talking about how the teacher, Kevin, is such a dud, and how nobody would ever want to hang out with her. Or him, I should say. And then Vicky's like, well, I was hanging out with him a little bit. I was just trying to get some extra credit in A for the class so I could pass everything. Then all the girls start bugging her and be like, oh, you wouldn't actually sleep with him, would you? And he's like, no, I'm just making him think I would. That way I can get the passing grade. And then we see them all playing around in the shower, whipping towels around. And then we see some clothing moving in the locker room because we can tell that, Kevin took a serum and he's now inside the women's locker room. And he's now narrating as he's watching the women as they all start to undress and shower and wash up and soap up. He's like, I know it was wrong, but I just couldn't help myself. I just needed to watch these young ladies in the shower. And he's trying to say that the serum is tapping into his most deep-rooted sexual fantasies, and he just can't control himself. And then one of the girls just jumps and says, ouch. And she's like, somebody pinched me. Who pinched me? He's like, nobody pinched you. Nobody's even watching around you. So apparently the girl that got pinched is Betty, and she's like, you definitely need a boyfriend. You're just lacking some attention. So one of the guys from the class gets all pissed off at the janitor because the janitor's watching for that people vent system. He's like, I'm going to knock you out if I see you doing it again. So then the janitor scampers off because he's a mutant apparently. And then the guy just peeks through the hole being like, I'm going to watch the ladies now. My turn. And then we see the janitor walking home. He's walking by a house that has some piñatas out in the front yard. He gets all spooked about it, but also the music that's playing during this whole scene is very unique, I guess. It definitely sets up the mood that he's not all there. We see the janitor get to his room in this big house. It looks like a very big house, at least. And he's just got like 2 mattresses on the floor, and there's nudie pictures all over the walls. And he just picks up a newspaper and literally is sitting on the bed and falls asleep. And then he's having this weird dream where this punk rock girl is behind him and starts biting his neck like a vampire. And the next thing you know, he's being choked out. And the music just gets all weird and intense. And it's just this punk rock lady literally choking him out as he's screaming, but he can't talk, so there's no sounds coming out. And then we see the janitor being choked out on a staircase by some other punk rock people as there's other girls around him that are topless. And this whole sequence just seems like it's a bunch of naked filler for the movie to make the runtime a little bit longer. And then the dream ends with the janitor across some stairs like by a water fountain where this lady comes out with big bazookas, takes off her bra, throws it at him, and then picks up a giant rock and smashes his head in with it. But then he wakes up, or he's not waking up. I guess he's back in their dream because now he's running through the woods as it's foggy. And apparently the janitor's name is Henry because we then see this other girl who's got a voodoo doll that's got Henry on it, and she keeps stabbing it, and then him in the woods keeps acting like he's being stabbed where the dummy is being stabbed. And it makes no goddamn sense at all. So we have the janitor back at the same area somewhere. I don't know. The scene's been going on way too goddamn long. Now he's on the grass and it's daytime and there's like 8 women around him that are all trying to either rip his face off or rip his clothes off. I'm not really too sure what the game plan is, but like I said, this sequence has gone on way too long. There's no sounds other than the music that gets louder and louder in your ears. The characters herself aren't saying a damn word. I assume the characters aren't saying a word because apparently he's supposed to be a mute and everything. But then he looks like he's trying to scream, and then all the people just disappear. And then that girl shows up, and she's like a dominatrix. And then she starts beating him with a whip, and every time she hits him with the whip, a snare drum goes off, or a cymbal goes off, something goes off. And next thing we know, we're in the doctor's lab, who's sweating in bed, and then we have flashbacks to the beginning of the movie where the doctor's telling the mom that she's got a very peculiar son who just needs to be, taken care of in a proper way. It might be a little bit schizophrenic, but everything will be okay with the right medication. Then we see flashbacks to Kevin listening to his mother as she says that she hates him and how he's a failure and she's so disappointed in him. And then he wakes up from his dream because he was having a different dream the same time the janitor was having a dream, apparently. I'm not sure how those two are connected together. Probably not at all. But I feel like the janitor scene was just a bunch of filler to show off some tits. And we see 2 of the students in the washroom pissing in the stalls, and they got a plan to get back Kevin because they're like, oh, I wish Kevin didn't fail us like that, Mr. Smith. It's pretty rude him doing that, but we got something else planned for him. And then the one guy's like, well, what do you think your score would have been if you didn't get an F or he didn't automatically fail? He's like, well, it would have still been an F, but at least I would have earned it. And apparently the whole time they've been talking about this, Smith, Kevin, has been in the other stall listening the whole time. And then we just cut to like Bunny and Vicky, and they're talking about their sex lives and how I think Chet wants to do it in all these weird spots, and I think it's Vicky's like, yeah, me and such, we did it in the girls' locker room and also in Mr. Henry's janitor closet too. And then while Mr. Smith is teaching a lesson plan, the principal comes in, not dressed in like normal principal attire by any means. She's just dressed in like a white top and stuff. Like, I'm sorry to disturb you. Can I have you come into my office, please? Looking all seductive and shit. So then he goes to the principal's office and she's sitting in a chair. She's got her back towards him. And she's like, so you don't have like a wife or any female companion at all? He's like, no, where are you getting at? And she spins around and she's in a completely different fucking outfit now at this point in time. And she's like, I have needs and I'm very attracted to you. It's like, you're a whore. And then, of course, she pulls out her tatas and puts his face right between them. Apparently, she has a thing for motorboating. So then she's like, you're not going anywhere, because he tries to leave. And then she's like, I found this in your desk. And she finds the syringe. She's like, I want you out of this school, and I want you out of this town. I'm going to call the police, because you didn't want to do me. So now I'm going to throw you under the bus. Because you, sir, are clearly a drug addict, and I can't have you around the kids. So then he's like, all right, I'm sorry. And then he, goes over and starts groping her and making out with her. And you can clearly tell he's starting to get pissed off. Because I'm not sure what he's grabbing off her desk, but something sharp. And then we just see his hand above her. And then we cut to a different scene altogether. And him walking back to the classroom. So I'm assuming the principal is probably dead. And then by the time he gets back into the classroom, the kids have a prank set up for him because they put a bucket of water above the door and it comes crashing down on him. He starts to scream and we hear laughter all over the place, but the classroom is actually fully empty at this point in time. And he's gone completely psycho now because we then see him starting to fully lock up the school. And then he has a shot of him holding the syringe being like, he who laughs last best, as he's getting ready to inject himself with the serum. Of course, he's going to be invisible and he can just, start killing off the kids one by one with them not knowing what's going on. And it's still midday at the school. Apparently there's 2 kids from the class that are on lunch right now, but there's nobody else in this school. So there's pretty much only 10 kids in this whole damn school because, the budget of this movie is probably horrible. And then these 2 kids just start making out in the lunchroom, and then we see the kid's hand being grabbed, and we can tell Kevin's there, and he starts making the kid grab his Subway sandwich and ramming it down his throat so he chokes on it. The whole time I think it's maybe Betty is the girl there, and she's just screaming, and then we hear Kevin be like, hey, don't be talking with your mouth full, as the sandwich just keeps getting rammed down the guy's throat farther and farther, to the point where it's completely gone, and his throat looks like it's about ready to explode. So then the girl goes to run away. Kevin rips her dress off, or her top off, and then he's like, come here, you little brat, and she trips. He's like, see you next fall, and the next thing you know, her bra's getting ripped off, and he's grabbing the fire hose to kill her with that. And then we just see this fire hose being wrapped around her throat very oddly, I guess, just the way they shot it. And then we just see her being choked out with the fire hose. Then we see 2 of the girls in the washroom doing their makeup in front of the mirror. And then one girl, they're high school students. She's like, I think I need a boob job. It's like, oh, small boobs are in. I definitely read it in Vogue. Don't worry about it. And there's all this other stupid crap that's being talked about. And then out of nowhere, the janitor, Henry, pops in, and the girls just get freaked out, being like, oh, can't we have any privacy in this damn place? And then those 2 girls are walking around being like, oh, wow, it's so weird. It's so quiet in the school. And they go to walk out the door and be like, oh, look, somebody put this giant chain on the door. Why is that on the door in the midday? What if there's a fire? It's like, you've never seen any other students in this school. And then they're walking down the hallway, and they see Betty, who's topless and dead because she got choked out by the fire hose. So then they start freaking out, being like, oh, wow, Betty's dead. And then the girls keep running up sets of stairs, making me wonder, how many floors is the school? And they run into Mr. Smith's classroom. He's like, girls, what's the matter? She's like, well, Betty's dead down the hallway with a fire hose wrapped around her neck. And he's like, fire hose wrapped around her neck? Wow, that's strange. So then the girl's like, oh, we'll go to the office and call the police. He's like, no. He's like, I didn't mean to yell. I don't want you guys running around the hallway in case there's a murder out there. I'll go to the office and call. Just stay calm, and I'll be right back, all right? And then as the 2 girls are sitting in the classroom waiting for Smith to come back, we see the door opening up and closing, but nobody's actually there. And of course, it's Kevin, who's now invisible. He's like, help's on the way, girls. And they're like, I heard Kevin, but where is he? I don't see him anywhere. So then they try to leave the classroom. It's like, oh my god, how did this door get locked? And then one of the globes in the classroom just goes flying out their head. And then we just see the two girls standing at the chalkboard as a bunch of different school books are being tossed at them. And they're screaming, trying to dodge the books. And then one of the girls gets thrown up against the wall by the door. And Kevin's just like, move it or lose it. And then the girl who wanted the boob job, her shirt gets ripped open to show off her smaller chest. And then we see her getting dragged across the chalkboard as she's dragging her nails against the chalkboard, which was really loud in my ears. And she's being dragged over to a fish tank where she's now getting her head rammed into the fish tank as the other girl just stands on, watching, screaming at her. And then Kevin just decides to choke the other girl up against the door because, nothing else that he can really do because, he's invisible. And, he already did the fire hose thing and the fish tank thing, so might as well just choke her out with her bare hands, I'm assuming. So we see one of the other guys with his girlfriend. She's like, you did a really good job. And they're in the gym. And she's like, thanks. I'm going to go take a quick shower. So then she goes, gets dressed, or undressed, goes in the shower, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we keep cutting to the boyfriend who's like just standing there walking back and forth, whistling a couple times, looking at his watch. And he's just like, yeah, she said she's taking a quick shower. And then she's like, Gordy, is that you? So apparently it's Gordon. Gordon's the guy waiting for her. Anyways, apparently Kevin's in there because he then grabs the radio and takes it into the shower and throws it on the ground. And of course, she gets electrocuted. And apparently the whole time she's being electrocuted in the shower, apparently Gordon doesn't hear it all. So then he starts knocking on the door and being like, hey, Vicky, you almost done shower? Come on, you've been like 2 minutes in the shower. Come on, Vicky, come on. So then he opens up the door to walk into the women's change room shower area. He's like, hey, Vicky, what's taking you so long? And he's in the shower. He's like, Vicky, where are you? I'm always looking around for you. And then he opens up a locker and he sees Vicky smashed inside the locker. And then he gets smashed in the face. And then he starts running away like a chicken shit. And then we just see Gordon doing his best. Like he's getting punched here and there all around. And it's got like that Batman Adam West sound effect, like the pow, pow, wow, pow sound effects as some heavy metal rockin' style music starts to play as Gordon's trying to run away, looking like he's getting choked on the staircase. And then we see the point of view, like it's Kevin coming at Gordon, and then Gordon's trying to punch midair, like open air. He's like, oh no, you missed again, sucker. Somehow Gordon's able to get through the school and onto the roof of the school, and Kevin's right there behind him, and we just see Gordon getting tossed around on the roof over the AC units and everything. So then Gordon's trying to say, I give up, and Kevin's like, nope, nobody gives up. And then we just see Gordon getting tossed off the roof of the school and landing on someone's car down below in the parking lot. But it looks like there's only one car in the parking lot anyways. So then we cut and see Chet and his girlfriend sneaking into the principal's office where she's dead on the floor behind the desk. And the girl's like, well, what if she comes into our office and catches us? He's like, she won't, no worry. We're going to bang on her desk, though, so don't worry about it. It's like, you two have been in the school the whole time while everyone around you has been dying and screaming for their lives. This school does not look big enough. How did you not hear any of that at all at any point in time? And Gordon ran all the way around the school to somehow get on the roof. Yet you didn't hear any yelling or screaming? Somehow the two of them do it on the desk or the floor in the principal's office, and then they sneak away because they're like, well, let's hurry up before the principal comes and finds us. But then the janitor comes in and within 2 seconds sees the principal dead on the floor, and he tries calling 911, but he can't talk. So Bunny and Chet are in the gym again, and Bunny's like, hey, I gotta go in the girls' locker room to get my sweater out of my locker because they keep them in all their clothes in the women's change room locker. Anyways, Bunny grabs the sweater and then sees another door kind of open, so she peeks open the door, and that's where she finds Vicky dead. So then she starts screaming for Chet, and Chet's like, Henry definitely did it. The janitor definitely did it. I know he's crazy. He definitely did it. And as they're getting ready to leave the gym, the janitor comes running in, screaming, and Chet's like, I'll kill the son of a bitch. I'll definitely kill him. So then as he's trying to punch the janitor, he punched the janitor a couple times, and the janitor's down on the ground, and he goes to wail on his head some more. Then Kevin appears and stops him from punching him, and then we have invisible Kevin, like, stopping everybody, and then Bunny gets dragged to the ground, and she's like, I can't get up, get him off of me, and Chet's like, oh, there's nothing on you, what are you talking about? And then Chet just starts getting punched in the face, out of nowhere, because, well, Kevin's invisible. is at some point, somehow, Chet punches and hits Kevin in the nose, and we see blood on the ground. And so then he tackles that spot on the ground and tries to fight an invisible Kevin, which just looks like he's rolling around on the ground having a seizure. And then we hear some crackling sound, and then out of nowhere we see Kevin appearing, and Chet's been choking him the whole time. And they're like, oh, it's Mr. Smith the whole time? He's like, yeah, I'm your invisible maniac. Shit, I have no more serum, but guess what? I'm still gonna kill ya. And it looks like Kevin knocks out Chet, or maybe he's dead, I'm not too sure. But Bunny's still on the ground, crying and screaming, and out of nowhere, Kevin just runs at her and double stomps her, and as he's walking away, we see blood all over his legs, and he's leaving bloody footprints as he's leaving the gym. So then we see Dr. Smith back in his little room. He's like, this serum brings out the best in me, brings out the best sexual fantasies. It's time to move on, though. There's too many nubile students out there that need to meet this new Dr. Smith. And as he's laughing the whole time, Chet just walks in with a shotgun, and he's like, oh, wow, Chet, you're still alive. Huh, that's crazy. It's like, how did you even know where he lives, Chet? So then Kevin hits Chet in the head with a bottle, and he, stumbles across the room, and that gives Kevin enough time to hit himself with their serum and be like, ha, now try and kill me, the invisible maniac. We see Chet trying to shoot at Kevin. He shoots, destroys the TV, and then next thing we know, we see Chet getting tossed around the room as he's tumbling all over the place. And then at some point in time, Chet grabs a serum and stabs himself in the ass. And Kevin's like, no, don't do that. And now we have two fucking invisible people fighting around a room, and we can't see shit. We just hear moans and groans, we hear punches, and the camera's just tossing around all over the place, and it makes no goddamn sense. And at one point in time, the rabbit cage with the rabbit inside of it just goes flying across the room. And then we hear cops at the door, smashing at the door, being like, hey, open up the door, we're breaking down the door. And then we hear the shotgun go off, and blood goes splattering all over the wall. And of course, it's Kevin's head that just got shot off, apparently. And the cops are like, wow, Dorwinkle, that you sick bastard, you blew your head off, huh? Man. Well, it's safe to save a lot of tax money, not having to go through with the court and stuff. So, thanks for blowing your head off, I guess. And then the cops are walking out of the room, calling it a suicide. And then as they close the door, we just hear Kevin laughing because it was actually Chet that got his head blown off. And he's now appearing again. He's like, ha, I did it. And he's got another serum in hand as he's starting to leave that room. As he just keeps laughing the whole damn time. And then we see that news reporter again from the beginning of the movie saying how Dr. Kevin Dorwinkle, whatever, blew his head off in a case of bizarre events, apparently. And then as she's describing everything that happened, her top gets ripped off as we hear Kevin laughing, and the movie ends, and that's the end of it. And boy, oh boy, was this an interesting one. So the concept of the movie sounded very interesting, and I was very much looking forward to it, but apparently the budget wasn't that great. Noel Peters, playing the character Kevin, didn't really care for him that much, and his laugh, oh my gosh, just driving me crazy. I feel like this movie is just an excuse to show a lot of boobs. On the one point with the janitor being tormented in his dream, that sequence went on for way too damn long. It made no sense. There was no point having it in the movie at all. It means nothing to me. The fact that, I don't understand the whole concept of both of them being invisible, fighting each other, because it just makes for a stupid scene where we just have the camera just spinning around the room essentially as we see random objects flying all over the place. I guess, trying to fight fair. I guess was Chet's idea. It is what it is. I didn't care for the movie, to be honest with you. On the Rotten scale of 10, I'd give it a 2. I have no desire at all to watch this movie ever again. So with that being said, let's decide what we're going to watch next week. Alright, so we're going to go to another bad movie, but it's an enjoyable bad movie, from what I remember at least. I haven't watched this one for a few years. We're going back to 2006, so it's not a super new movie by any means, but we are watching Night of the Living Dead 3D. I just want to cleanse my palate with a zombie movie, because I'll be honest with you, that last movie was not enjoyable to me at all. I know this movie's not great, I know a lot of people don't like it at all, but Sid Haig, come on now. It's a Night of the Living Dead franchise. It is what it is. I like zombie movies. It's my go-to happy spot for the horror genre. So with that being said, hopefully next week you guys will check out the episode. If you want to watch it ahead of time, go check it out for free on Prime, and I'm sure it's probably on Tubi and other free to watch apps as well. So definitely go check it out there. Like I said, we're watching Night of the Living Dead 3D, 81-minute runtime, 2006 horror movie. And as always, make sure to check out the outro band,
based horror band Blood Opera. All their links are down below in the description, or if you're listening on Spotify, it's directly linked to each and every single episode now. And as always, check out all of my social media links down below at Typhonstein. Check out the Rotten Views podcast page on Instagram, as well as check out the YouTube channel at Typhonstein. Links down below for the old episodes of the podcast every single Monday, new gaming videos every single Wednesday. We have daily shorts, community posts, and so much other free content for you guys to check out. Check out the CWC, Canadian Wrestling Championship page on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube for various short content. As well, check out the TeePublic linked site below if you want to buy some merch. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
I am a whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood?